Sorry about all the noise. Great way to go live by having y'all jam your volume down because of all that noise. Hello, welcome everybody. No better time than the present, 420, to go online and give a live lesson here. And today I thought I would go over a subject that I graced on in a video recently, and that is finding the key to a song and finding the key to any song using basically the string, one string on a guitar. And I thought I could illustrate it a little better today, so here we go. And maybe I can illustrate it in 15 minutes, but it'll probably take an hour. So, what you see, I drew a typical fretboard diagram here. With the low E string and the high E string. And for reference, I drew a kind of a piano keyboard, if you will, here. So, of course, a square always stands for a note. And here we have 12 notes, the 12 notes of the major scale. Sort of, I'm trying to show you that, or say that here's a piano keyboard. For anyone that's like, well, I can't see it. I don't see a piano keyboard. I mean, because it doesn't expressly look like a piano keyboard, but obviously you can see there's a white key, a black key, a white key, a black key, and a white key. And if a piano keyboard, for real beginners that never really noticed, and a piano is just another alien instrument, and it all looks like a jumble of notes, take a close look at the pattern. There is a group and another group, and that's all there is. This makes up the 12 notes. It's a repeating two-group subsystem. And these two groups, they don't have to exist. This, well, let's not get too deep here. For a major scale system, it's the first three, and then there's four white keys. And then there's three white keys, and there's four white keys, and they're butted up to each other. And that's the big important thing. So they create a half step right here. Oh man. Just the right time for the video, we busted a pen there, a pencil. So we got to sharpen that. And so we got a half step there. And note to self, have another pencil handy when you press play. Let's see where we are here. Well, I think we gotta get rid of. Make it so. My sharpener will sharpen to a point. Let's not go too sharp. All right. You got a half step right there. This butts up to itself on each side, so you'd have an orange note on this side or a blue note at the end of the 7 or the T on this side. So there's a half step here, and we'll just kind of make it half there and half there, just to show you that that's where the half steps are. And those create a really easy way to navigate finding a scale or finding the key of a song. Now, in its most basic sense, you can unfold or kind of lay out the piano keyboard on your guitar by going up a string and playing a series of whole steps. When you jump a note, that's a whole step. And when you just do one note, or one square, that's a half step. And anything else has got an interval name, but you can just call that a leap. All right? And leaps aren't as musical as steps. That's why scales are mostly created of steps, although there are scale systems with leaps. That would be the, I believe I know for sure the harmonic minor scale does. I'm not sure about melodic minor. I don't think that has a leap. It might. I don't know. But anyways, not our focus today. So what we got here is, I need to get a drink of water. Oh, good Lord, I have a headache. I thought it might go away. But anyways, see how all those notes led into that final note as a resting point? A scale will do that. Arrange these steps in a certain way, called a key, and you create some movement in music. And movement is when your ear is drawn to a final resting note, like that, like for when you play. And everything seemed to have a final sense of completion. That's a resting, a note of rest. The note of greatest tension was at the end, leading you. That's a leading tone into the release, the back to the do in do re mi fa sol la ti do. So, that lays out on the keyboard or on the fretboard as follows. So you can just do one string if you play a note, and that just sounds like crap. The biggest chance is that you ended up on one of these black keys, which are white in this guitar grid. But if you grid out a piano, then it's a black key. You probably ended up on a black key. So where is a good note around any black key? Before it or after it? How about this wrong note? Before it or after it? How about this wrong note? And this wrong note? And this wrong note? There's always a note. A good note is always before and after it. So you've kind of done yourself a favor by landing on a crappy note because you just identified the first good note of the scale. Now, in this case, we don't have any reference point, and it's hard to provide a reference point because YouTube loves to flag when you have a popular song and you're in the background of your video. But we'll see what I can do here. Let's put something on my cell phone so I can hear it, and maybe you'll be able to hear it just a little bit, enough that it'll be crappy enough that it won't set up a red flag. So, get something where finding the key isn't too hard. Oh, I know what to do. I wonder if I have... Okay, give me a second, everybody. I'm looking at my phone, alright, to find... Rush is pretty doable, but that would pretty quickly... This would probably do. Oh, great. Perfect. Can you guys hear that? Okay, so right there, in Arnold Lane from Pink Floyd, I found my first half step right there. That keeps occurring in the song. So now from there, so what I've discovered is I'm in one of two places now. I've really narrowed it down. I'm in the mi-fa of a scale, meaning, what would that be? So mi-fa would be A flat to A. The song is either in the key of E, if this is A, then that's G sharp, and that would be F sharp, and that would be E. So this would be the key of E if that's the case. However, that could be the 7 and the 1, so that means I'm in the key of A. So we're kind of determining right now we are either in the key of E. We've narrowed it down to the key of E or A. Pretty cool, right? So what I found was, just by finding this pattern on one string, I was able to find the key to the song. However, the intent of this video is to give you another way that's, I think, even a little easier than this. It's similar. It starts with this thinking, but goes in a different direction. But so, anyways, I noticed that there was a half step between the A and the A flat, or the A and the G sharp. And then went up the scale, and that sounded good, of course, with the song. And I say of course because after the half step, there's simply just going to be a whole step there. Now the question from there is, do I have a final whole step and a half step, or was I here and I was playing the G sharp to A, and then I have 3 more whole steps. There's only that possibility from there. I'm either going to find the half step over here or over here. So I went up the scale and found that what pleased my ear the most was, at least during the parts of the song that I experimented over that, it seemed there were some parts of the song I thought they might be morphing between E and A. Not out of the question. Keys that are a fourth and a fifth apart, for those who are advanced in music theory, know what the hell I'm talking about, are very common. You probably already know this then, to borrow chords from, because they share here's a big secret: the keys that share the most notes have the easiest borrowable chords, and the keys that share the most, there's 2 keys that have 6 notes out of the 7 notes shared with the home key, and that's always the 4th and the 5th. Hence why blues sound so good based around the 1, the 4, and the 5. Like almost like the hallmark, like the staple chords of any do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? The 1 and the 4 and the 5. And if you're just beginning, you'll hear that a lot. Now it's reinforced on my channel, and maybe you're getting a bigger picture of what is really being talked about when someone talks about the 1, the 4, and the 5. So, for example, if this key indeed was the key of A... Whoops, sorry for being out of screen there. Let me lower this camera a little bit. My drinking vessel out of the way. Oh, sorry about all that. And my headache seems to have subsided. I think I was running out of water. Okay, so... the key of A... oh, shit. Now after that happened, I forgot the point I was making. What about the key of A? What were we talking about? See, this is why it sucks giving... live videos, because there's no one to respond to you and say, well, that's what you're talking about, dude. Well, maybe it'll come to me. Anyways, yeah, the key of A. I think I was going to go over the chords, talk about chord structures. On old lane, at a string. I think he does a little chromatic walk down there, which is entirely doable. Music theory isn't rules, it's just a guide. Understanding, it's communication, it's control of 12 notes, emotional control. Anyways, another way though, instead of going up the string and hunting up the string, which I think takes maybe a little longer than this way, you can think about this. When it comes to finding the half step, you're always going to find the either that there is going to be there's two half steps, right? One is going to occur in this guitar graph between right here and right here, right? So for example, right after the blue, we have the orange 3. Call it the blue 4 and the orange 3. So you have your do, re, mi, and your fa, sol, la, ti. And so, what you should know is when you find this half step, you are basically 2 more notes away from finding the actual key of the song. And what you're going to look for is the magic square. If you so happen to have been in this half step, this is exactly where you are. You're at the bottom of the square, which is a real nice place to be, because then you have a square over here. Straddle in the middle keys. The rules of the square, it always repeats on the octave. Contains 4 of the 7 notes you need to master and conquer, have the scale under your fingertips and the guitar. Helps you jump across string sets really fast and easy. Helps you navigate the fretboard, because the only other 2 notes, the only other structure that surrounds it is this little bracket of 2 notes here. There's also a note attached to it on the bottom and on the top, which also make the 2 that would be, it's an identical structure. We'll just simply make this identical here, identical here, identical here. And what you may realize in this mix of shapes here, here's a little half box above the whole box. As is above, so is below. And that's the Dorian shape. If you're familiar with the pentatonic scale and how it can turn into the Dorian shape, that can be a way that you lock into what this implicates about how you can really know your fretboard, and how you can just jump around anywhere in an improv, having every note under your fingertips, every good note, and know where every black key is when you want to add in some black key spice. So you got a note here, and then there's a square box here. Do 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 do. Okay, but to say my point though, I'm jumping a little ahead of myself there. And what I should do is kind of, where can I, here I can do what I need to do. Let's use one of these. So, yeah, I think that'll be the color we use. So basically, you want to consider that your square box, square box, square box. When you find that half step on the fretboard, if it's this half step, you've got 2 notes above you. So basically, once you find this half step, you can test above you. Start with this note, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Because you'll definitely always have this note, but this note is the optional note. I could even title this video, how to find the key to any song in a square of 4 notes. But I'll show you in a second. If you're up over on this half step, let's say this is the one you picked, or let's say I had found this one out here, or actually that's this one, and the first one I found was here. Now above me would not have been 2 working notes, only 1 working note, because right here you're actually at the same place we are right here. This is the E, F, and the G. So let's look right here. Here's the octave. Here's 12 notes later. So E, F, and G. Right there. E, F, G. So, Yeah. What am I doing here? I got all brain farty for a second. Well, why is that like that? That's E. Oh, okay, no. I messed up. It's not E. Oh, man. I see the error of my ways. I have messed up my fretboard. Did you guys catch that? I done messed up my fretboard, but it's not an irreversible mess up that would screw up the entire lesson here, so that's pretty good. That's why I always do these things in pencil, right? As you guys know, the first dot on the fretboard starts on the 3rd fret, the G, which is right there, so that's what something I realized was amiss. So E, A, D, G, B, E out here. Oh, wait a minute, now did I... Okay, sorry. Complete brain fart right here on my lesson. It's part of my headache, and I'm just out of it. Okay, great. So, now it makes more sense to me. What I'm trying to explain here is that the first half step after the 3, between the 3 and the 4, is going to have a 1 and a 2 over the top of it, but the 7 to the 1 is the top of the box, because the box is always 7, 1, 3, 4, right? Your 7, your 1, or your 3 and your 4. It's always where the mi fa is and the ti do is. So you've got this half step here. What are the rules of the box? When you're at the top of the box, 7 always connects to the 4. 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4. Or the whatever you put in the box, which is always optional. Whatever you're thinking about, you put in here. If you're thinking intervals, write your intervals in here. They always lock into this. This structure is the core structure of the fretboard, if you didn't know. So at the corner of the box, as long as there's no string shift involved, is always another box. So this is the bottom of the box. Now here's where, and the reason why this never jumps out at you or other guitarists and guitar teachers, is because this box is broken due to the string shift on the guitar, and the pattern doesn't really become as apparent that that's what's really going on here. And at the corner, you're back at this box here. And so you see what this there's a row of 3 boxes here straddling the outside, the middle, and the other outside strings. There is a diagonal row of boxes in this direction from here, following the tritone sequence. And it's a half box, which is always above the big box. There's always the half box start. So that's how you can navigate if you ever find yourself down here and you want to go somewhere else. Start with your half box, get to your full box here, and your broken box is down there, and then it's down there, and then as is above, so is below. You're back over exactly an octave away from where you were before. Now, what I mean by playing through these boxes is just basically noodling. I mean, you can do anything, but I'll show you kind of how I'm always riffing through. So I morphed over, I switched over into, I switched the box around, in case there was some incongruency in the sounds there, but between the both parts. But anyways, like if I picture my box as the 1 on the E string, 5th fret. So I hammered on, thinking about my box. I was hammering on the box that occurs near the Aeolian while I kind of move my fingers through Dorian and how I would explain what I just was doing there. And so that was all the concept of just riffing through the box. I can get from this part of the fretboard. Just trying to turn that down a bit so you guys aren't blasted away. I always, personally, my biggest pet peeve on YouTube videos is when they're like, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden the sound is always 10 times louder than the voice, so my video's probably doing the same thing, and I apologize. So I'm way down here. So I've gotten all the way up here. Now I want to get down to the top strings. I just took a random walk up a pentatonic scale because you can just kind of do that. Once you get really good at being in the scales, a lot of outside things begin to work. So, that is the basic kind of cool thing about trying to find the key of any song. Just noodle around, and when you find a half step, you're either in box row. We'll just call this just row 1 and row 2. Where are you? Are you in row 1 or row 2? If you have a box of notes above you, so you were here, and then these notes sound good, and you're here. What key was that? Was expressed in Ionian. That was G major. It's expressed in its 1, the natural root, the 1, the do of the scale. It was the G scale. The reason I say all that, just to get a little bit, push you guys into thinking more and learning more about what's going on here. Like, I could have been playing that G scale, but we resolved, the bottom chord was this. A Dorian, because we were on the second, we were jamming, basically catering to the second note in the do, re, mi, fa, so of G major, which is starting G, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, starting on G. But if you accentuate other notes of the scale, you get those modal sounds. But that's not the scope of this video, so don't get confused. What the point was then, so you're always going to find yourself, if you find a half step, then you just find out, am I in row 1 where, I guess the point was, how easy it is to navigate once you find out that you're in that square, or are you in this square, which incidentally is in another familiar pentatonic box you know as Aeolian, or you should know as Aeolian. Basically, a pentatonic box is this here. Ooh, we're having a hard time. All right. Pentatonic box, for those who are just clueless and don't know what I'm talking about here. Pentatonic box, dude. No one tell me about the pentatonic box. Well, hopefully in these days of the offended internet, nobody takes those accents the wrong way. Just being a joker here. The pentatonic scale. You can populate it with notes. If you put 2 notes here, you've just created the Dorian shape, and you're you're mounting your boxes in a manner that you already know. We just went over the string pairs, the outside, the middle pair, and the outside pair. Or you can take your bare pentatonic shape, plug it in, and put the square over here, being super crafty and slick, but you've really just found yourself at the other side of the Dorian scale, playing what's known as the Phrygian scale. But it's only Phrygian if this low note is what's ringing out. It's part of the master scale system because it contains all the notes, and it just depends which one's ringing out creates the mode. So why do they call this one? Why do they confuse everyone by calling this one a modal name? Well, this is just because its starting note also is a way to give it that indication, but it doesn't really lock you into a sound or a particular mode just knowing the shape. That's where a lot of that's just what's not explained clearly to new guitarists, and where they always bounce off of music theory education, because that simple fact is so confusing, but it's and so obtuse to get your head around. But once you realize what does make a mode and what just needs to be named a mode just to make it convenient to understand, then you move forward in your theory exploration. But it's almost only until that guitarists get their head around that confusing little bit there that these modal names aren't locking you into a modal sound. It's modal sounds come from notes that are being emphasized. One of these notes is being emphasized. Each one of these 7, there's only 7 here, give you a modal. Will give you a modal sound. And if you want the code, it's in other videos. It's this one will ring out this note in the bass while you jam this scale pattern, and it's how it connects to the whole fretboard. You'll get Ionian. This one will be the 2. The 2 is always Dorian. The 3 is Phrygian. The 4 is Lydian. The 5 is Mixolydian. The 7 is Locrian. And since it's another L, we always go LX there. And then, what else we got? We're missing a note. So up above here, we got M for Mixolydian, the octave apart from that Mixolydian. What are we missing here? What do we got? Where's Aeolian? Oh, yeah. Aeolian's always just after Mixolydian, the 5 and the 6. 6 is always Aeolian, and on and on. So if that's the P for Phrygian, then we'd have our L here. PL must be the, hey, look, it's the bottom of the box. And what do you know? As is above, so is below, shows up right here. As we populate these modal names, this is written in stone. It never changes. This is always going to be in any. This is the guitar's setup scale pattern. This is it, and no one knows the master code. No teachers never really seem to say that there's a box of 4 notes and it's I, P, L, and LX. And then, it's pretty easy after a while to just be like, your 3's Phrygian, your 4's Lydian, your 5's Mixolydian. So I always know my intervals and my modes all in one thought. It's just automatic now. I ended up with this, looking at this box system and playing along with it so much because it became so fun. It was pretty quick to suddenly know a ton of new shit that I just couldn't learn by like memorizing things that didn't make any musical sense or have any musical value to me. It just was like, memorize this, memorize that, ha 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 ha. Are you getting it? Huh, music theory is pretty hard, huh? That's always kind of seemed like the gist from teachers. I don't know what the deal was. I can't say, I don't want to discredit my old teachers. I don't go ahead and think that I'm not exactly saying that that's you guys. I'm saying more of even people I've seen on YouTube. And once again, even that's might make other YouTube guitar people that are catching what I'm doing feel alienated, and I guess I don't want to do that either. So let's leave that topic where it is and move on here with our populating. What comes before Locrian is Aeolian. There's the octave pattern. What comes before the P? think that's what, the D for Dorian. And yeah, an octave away from the same note there. Okay, so you can see the story there that I drifted. I'm going to get right now to the point that I got to drawing all these pentatonics with, and I got carried away with that scale shape there and gave you a whole bunch of information. And here's another pentatonic. This will occur. They're not drawn to scale here, but in every major scale there are 3 pentatonics. One of them makes up the Dorian. Oh my God, I guess what I'm saying, and I guess I got to draw it, but it's so easy. I just have to draw a line here. And if you look here, 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4. That's the pentatonic box we all know and love. You can play Shine On You Crazy Diamond with that box. You can play Money with that one. Okay, something like sort of like that. And then, Comfortably Numb, and over on E we got what, Have a Cigar, and everything with this pentatonic shape. Now, if you want to do the final bit here that creates the final scale, that is what I actually started talking about this for, is that Aeolian shape. And you'll notice how each one, when we did Dorian, we populated these notes, we made a box. When we do Phrygian, we populate these notes on this side, and it makes a box. And what you're actually seeing is that on the fretboard, there's 2 overlapped pentatonics. Dorian is actually surrounding the back, or the spine of this so-called Phrygian scale. So, for example, if I play this, there's a pentatonic. Now I'm going to add in the gut notes for Dorian. So if I go up a half step, or a whole step, my bad, which was in the scale, it was the 2. So I go up to the 2, and I play those notes, but I use it, basically, I got a pentatonic right here. Box. 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 So, yeah, and you can hear how all those notes sound congruent with each other, especially if you ring out a chord. So let's see, what scale is this? Still on G, so Dorian box. Phrygian box. You could hear 2 things there. That one, that the Phrygian box notes sounded congruent with a G chord. Why would that be? Well, because it's in the scale. And then when I got to that last note there, it was really leading into that first note because, well, I landed up on that 7 and it pulled me back into the 1 note. Okay, so up here on this Aeolian, well, hold on before I say that. There's one final thing. We explored this Dorian Phrygian shape. Hopefully you got that in your head. Let's move on to this Aeolian shape. You take the box and you, instead of doing it on, basically plugging it on, notice the pentatonic here makes a empty hole here of 4 notes. So you use this group of notes, create the Dorian, use this group, create a Phrygian block. Or you can split your block. So that's what I'm trying to spit out here in 20 minutes of the same sentence. Split your block into this note and this note. It almost looks like all four get so you're this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note. And that you might understand or recognize as your Aeolian scale. It puts hangs two notes, one on each end of the middle box here, and there's a note up here because it's the same as the notes that are on this string. So as you see, you got your square box, which is this box will lead you back into this middle box here, which is tapping into back into your Dorian shape, which, as you know, because there's a box here, there's the box here, which is the same as this box here, which would connect you to this box here, which is the same as this box here, which is the top of the Aeolian scale. No, Aeolian, right? So not that note and not that note, just to be clear. And that is the half step I'm talking about. So when you found your half step, you are either finding the whole box in row A box, the big boxes, or the bunch of the broken row 2, you're down here, and then you're basically in your Aeolian scale. So basically you're using Dorian or Aeolian to find the scale or key of any song. And that's it for today. I hope you found that useful and helpful, and hopefully it led to more questions, so that if you got more questions, you're going, hey man, what do you got for what answer do you have for this or that? You're answering. As a matter of fact, speaking of questions, you know what I haven't done? There's probably could be people saying hi, hello, how you doing? Well, any of my 700 subscribers who I just reached a milestone of 700, so I would like to thank each and every one of you, and especially the one or two that just put me over the 700 milestone. We're hoping for 700,000, but I guess that's like 10 years away or something. So unless you tell all your friends, then I can get like 705 subscribers. So, yeah. So what I'm saying is, let me get over to the screen where people come in and say, hey, I'm watching. And after 42 minutes, no one is watching. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. No, I'm not going to worry about that. People, I guess, will catch these after the fact and can get enriched or bored off their ass or confused or pissed off that, maybe something. I don't know. But hopefully you'll like it, and you'll leave a comment or a question below. And, oh, yeah, and as I never say on any of my videos, like, you'll like and subscribe so I can get 701 subscribers. And maybe 702 and 703 and 704 will show up shortly. So... and then maybe one of those subscribers will look at the Patreon page and, subscribe to my Patreon page, or be a patron on there, because that would really make these lessons pop and give me more dedicated time to making real videos. Making real guitar videos takes me forever. I'm talking it's a day process to get a 35, 40-minute video out. And I don't have the days to do that. Working a regular job that takes up all my energy. Might be able to do that if I really, I should probably, kick my ass to get on here after work and make videos, but I don't know, I just don't do it. And so maybe that's an incentive for you to kick this into high gear. And just think about this. Think about it like this. You pay a guitar teacher what? $30 for them to lead you on and on and on about how hard music theory is. And you come here and you got like the basics that you need to know spelled out for you in a cool way to learn guitar. And it clicks for you. What is that worth? It's free here, basically, if you never pay anything, and you're entitled to totally not pay anything. Just watch and go on your merry way and be cool with it, because I did this all, out of the graciousness of my heart. But if you thought, hey, man, that was worth like shit, I'd pay $30 for 6 weeks to learn all that. Then you go to Patreon and you're like, hey, dude, here's $1 because I'm still way cheap, but it was worth something to me, so here's $1. And if 1,500 people would do that, well, you'd have a hell of a lot more videos coming at you if you did this once a month and you were getting awesome lessons and questions answered for yourselves. And as soon as I can twist this into what's happening in jazz and how to switch in between different modal concepts using this thinking, I'm going to roll into telling you guys all that because that's where I am. So if that's worth it to you, subscribe and check out the Patreon. I wish you all the best, and we're going to call it a day from here, and have a great day. Thank you for watching so much, and thank you for listening to me ramble, because I always feel like I ramble, so thanks a lot.